This is the PR Podcast, a show about how public relations helps you tell your story to the world. We talk with great PR practitioners who have the skills, creativity, and just plain savvy to get their clients noticed. Now here's your host, Jody Fisher.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the PR Podcast. I'm Jody Fisher. Thanks for joining us. Well, don't forget to tune in to my Instagram Live. This is every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern. PR talk from the PR Garage. The PR Garage is going through a little bit of renovation. And so if you tune in, you might see one angle, maybe another angle. We're trying to jazz things up a little bit here, as jazzy as this Gen Xer can get. But make sure you tune in on Thursdays at 2 p.m. We just do 15 minutes. We do a PR check-in. Maybe we talk about some current events that are going on. We play a little game that I call Why Is This News, where I dissect a story and I try to give you my impression of both why it made the paper and maybe what went into the pitch to get it in the paper or on TV or radio, but I typically pull a newspaper story. And love to hear your recommendations as well. If you'd like to send in a story that we can talk about and give us your impression on why it was news, send that all to me on any of the socials at Jody Fisher or at the PR Podcast. Make a recommendation and make sure you tune in Instagram Live every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Now on with our show today, we've got another great guest. Jennifer Adler led the public relations departments at prominent Phoenix area advertising agencies before she made the leap to start her own firm in March of 2019. Over the course of a more than 20-year career, Jennifer has represented high-profile clients across a variety of industries like hospitality, restaurant, real estate, entertainment, beauty, retail, healthcare, finance, law, gaming, sports, and nonprofit. She's got the awards to back it up as well. She was named Top Woman in PR by PRNEWS in 2023, Entrepreneur of the Year in Advertising, Marketing, and Public Relations in 2021, and Communications Professional of the Year in 2019 by the American Business Stevie Awards. She was also named a Champion of PR by PR Week in 2018. She's active in her local Arizona community and is passionate about giving back through her involvement with a number of local nonprofits there. Jennifer, welcome to the PR Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Really appreciate you joining us today. So you've been everywhere, done it all. You've got a varied background. Tell us about, first of all, just making the leap from a corporate job to hanging out your own shingle.
Yeah, so I have a lot of agency experience. So I come from the full service ad agency background. That's really where I got my experience in PR and cut my chops. I worked at 3 different prominent agencies here in the Phoenix area over the course of my career. And I was just at a point in 2018, 2019, where I was like, why am I doing this for someone else when I could be doing it for myself? And I'm sure you had a similar experience at some point in your life. But I had a lot of frustrations with the full service ad agency model. I was part of the leadership team and was brought in, to sell the business. And it was positioned that I was going to be working on the accounts. But as you know, a lot of it gets transitioned to more junior team members in order to remain profitable. And I saw the work suffering and clients not getting the service that I thought that they deserved. And so I was just at a point where I was, trying to figure out if I wanted to make the leap or not. And I was like, there's no better time than now. So I did it in March of 2019. We've been in business for a little over 5 years. And it's literally the best decision I've ever made.
Good for you. That sounds great. I love a good success story. It can be challenging, as you rise up through the ranks in a big agency, from being in the trenches with the client and doing the work to playing more of a supervisory role where you're doing more running the business and less doing what I call the fun stuff, which is talking to the reporters and finding the stories and getting your hands dirty.
Right.
How have you found that now running your own shop, where I'm guessing you've got a hand in just about everything?
Yeah, I wear all hats. And so that was an interesting transition because, as I said, I was, at my last agency, more strategic on the leadership team, brought in for new business, still did the work, but more I had a whole team that reported to me and they did most of the pitching. And so I missed it though, when I worked at the agency, because that's, as you know, one of the things that PR people love the most is securing earned media coverage and actually being the one that gets to do that. So it was a lot to take on and kind of shift back to like an earlier time in my career of, being the one that's actually doing all the PR work and not just strategic, but executing the tactics as well. And then, of course, learning how to run a business. So learning all the things that come along with being a business owner, like accounting and, just benefits and all of those things, learning QuickBooks Online and just figuring out, there was a lot. It was a little baptism by fire, but I love running my own business. It's been a very interesting learning experience.
That's great. That's great. You talk about that little hit of adrenaline and dopamine that we all get as PR people when you secure that hit, or even just when you're going back and forth with a reporter. You really feel like you're being constructive and helpful to the clients who are paying you to do the thing that you're doing for them.
Right.
A lot of what we do revolves around relationships. And one good pitch can turn into a long-term relationship with a given reporter. How do you approach that with media who you work with, leveraging those relationships and turning them into valuable assets for your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. Relationships are gold, as you know, in the PR profession. As I've said, I've been, working in PR for about 20 years now. So a lot of the relationships that I have been cultivated over almost that entire time. And, the reporters have moved around from different, whether it's TV stations or magazines or newspaper, like they may not be where they were before, or they may have even left the market, but still I have those relationships that I've cultivated over many, many years and that we leverage for our clients on a day-to-day basis. And it doesn't just extend to media, but we also do a lot in the influencer space. So we have a lot of really solid influencer personal relationships. And beyond that, relationships are everything, worth their weight in gold. So relationships with clients, relationships with the community, nonprofits, we do a lot in that space. And we really pride ourselves on connecting the dots between our clients and the media and the community and figuring out like mutually beneficial partnerships that benefit everyone involved.
It can also be challenging communicating those relationships to clients, especially
Yes.
new clients, right, who may
Mhm.
not have worked in PR before. And I think we've all had this experience at some point or another where a new client might think we're calling in favors
Mhm.
on those relationships.
Right.
Walk us through why that's not the case.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of clients don't really understand that their reporters are not, their job is not to make you look good and they're not your marketing department. So there's a lot of education that comes along and a lot of responsibility, I feel, with, being a PR firm owner and running a firm. And educating clients on how earned media actually works. A lot of people, I feel like, still don't understand the difference between paid advertising and obviously public relations, what we do. So that's an education in itself. And a lot of times if, editorial coverage comes out and it's not exactly what the client's expecting, there's an education there that we can't just go back and ask them to change something because it's not to your liking. If it's factually incorrect, obviously that's a different story. But there is a lot of education that comes along with it. And honestly, we we love our clients and they're great, but clients come and go. Our relationships with the media are very, very long lasting. And I have pushed back on clients many times in the past if they've asked me to do something that I'm not comfortable with going back to a member of the media that I have a personal relationship with. Obviously you have to make them understand the why behind it of why we're not comfortable doing that and how our profession is very based in relationships and handling something the incorrect way could really jeopardize not only coverage for that client, but our business in general and relationships and coverage for other clients as well.
Yeah, I typically fall back on the argument with a client, if they object to coverage or if there's something wrong or something like that, on factual accuracy, because
Right.
that's everything to a journalist, right? It's either
Yep.
factually accurate or it's not.
Hmm.
And all the gray areas about, well, we don't like the way they said this thing, or we don't like the way they wrote the headline or
Hmm.
whatever, that is completely subjective. But you can, I think, 9 times out of 10, maybe nine and a half, get a correction if it is based in fact. Um,
100%.
Could you walk us through maybe getting a factual correction or somehow maybe changing the mind of a reporter when something either wasn't to a client's liking or it was legitimately wrong?
Yeah, and I think that's where relationships do really come in because it's a lot different to have a relationship with a member of the media and be able to call them up or shoot them a text and be like, "Hey, I really appreciate the coverage. You did a great job. There's this one little part that my client's, not super happy with. This piece was maybe factually incorrect. Like you got this stat a little wrong, or it should be framed this way. Let me help you understand like why it's important to my client that this be corrected." So I think it's just about having honest conversations with the media, and they're people just like everyone else. And so they really appreciate when you are candid with them, when you're not trying to spin something, when you're candid of why something should be changed and why it matters to your client. And sometimes there's give and pull. Sometimes the reporter is like, "Hey, like, I'm happy to change this one part, but that's all I can do. I'm not going to change like the rest of it." And then we have to go back to the client and just kind of be like, we did our best to see if we could get them to change the part that you're not happy with, and this is where we settled, sort of thing. It's a negotiation.
For sure. And sometimes the reporter can react negatively to even the most polite of
Yes.
requests of, hey, change this because it's factually inaccurate. You got the stat wrong. You got the name wrong. You got something,
Mhm.
demonstrably wrong.
Yeah.
Talk about mending broken relationships. I mean, you can sometimes rub a reporter the wrong way and they
Yeah.
won't take your call and won't even open your email.
Yeah, it is. It's a sticky situation sometimes. We had an instance, this is many years ago, but where we took on a big restaurant client. We took it over from another PR firm that they weren't happy with, and so they transitioned to us. A dining critic had come in many times, unbeknownst to the restaurant, and obviously unbeknownst to us, since we were just starting to work on the account. And a lot of times they dine, under different names, and you, as a PR person, sometimes don't know that a critic is coming in, and posted a really scathing review of this really high profile restaurant that we work with. And we work with the dining critic, but as I said, like PR professionals aren't, we're not pitching the dining critic to come in. We're pitching the editor, and the reporters. And we have a really solid personal relationship with the editor at this particular publication. And so my client was livid when this scathing review came out, and they were like, "We need to call her up and like invite her back in. Like she needs to, come in and have a different experience and update her review." And like, it just doesn't work like that. And so I called this editor. Really, I was dreading having to call her because she's a friend of mine. And I just had a very candid conversation with her of like, "Hey, this review came out. Do you know anything about it? Like, you know, is there an opportunity to invite maybe the critic to come back in, even if she can't update her review, but just for her to like have a different experience, so like the publication's perception of this restaurant isn't forever going to be tainted." I personally invited the editor in for happy hour with me to the restaurant, and she had a great experience and ended up writing a completely separate editorial piece on it about their happy hour offering. And we continue to get good press in this publication since then. But I was worried that this scathing review, and a lot of times clients can dig their heels into and be like, "We never want to work with this publication again because it was so terrible." And so you have to counsel the client of like, "Hey, this was like a one-time incident. This is not the person I typically work with at the publication. The editor's awesome. Let's invite her in. Let's see if we can get some more editorial out of it." The reviews is what it is, unfortunately, but we can still get some good press that will hopefully, counteract the negative review. So that's how we handled that one.
Well, and good for you for not abandoning a relationship and being able to see something more long term, right? Because if especially I would think in like a review situation, whether it's a restaurant or book, a magazine, whatever, you know, it may sting to get a bad review, and I personally don't understand bad reviews. Like the chef could have a bad night,
Right.
right, or whatever. And and my thing is like, look, when you create something like that, then you can criticize. But I digress. Um, Cutting your nose off like that, and
Mhm.
saying, okay, I'm never working with them again. When there are, as you saw through it, many other people who could write lots more articles to counteract that one and even make it kind of disappear in a
Right.
way, is a lot smarter than just saying, we're never working with them again.
100%. And we work with this publication on a regular basis. So I had to be careful, how we handled it as well, just to make sure that we didn't, jeopardize that relationship or coverage for other clients too.
Great point. Great point. It probably also speaks to why working with, and I'm going to sound self-serving here, but I'm going to say it, why working with a smaller firm is better than being a number at a
Yeah.
big, heavily staffed firm. Walk us through why, or how maybe you talk to clients on selling your business, but selling the benefits of that hands-on kind of connection.
Yeah, I think the difference is it's very relationship based. When someone hires me and my firm, you get what you think you're getting. There's no smoke and mirrors. I'm not passing the work along to an intern or outsourcing it or using Chat GPT. Like clients get our expertise over many years, and they get senior people on their account. And you'd be hard pressed to find a CEO of a PR firm at a large agency who's actually working in the business on a day-to-day basis in terms of has the relationships with reporters, is actually pitching, can call up an editor, on a dime like that, and have that kind of a conversation. I feel like if it was at my previous agency, the client would have called the account manager. The account manager would have been freaking out, would have gone to her boss, who's not even in the PR department, and then would have looped in the PR department. It would have been like a chain of telephone for like 5 different people involved. And it's not necessary. So much time gets taken up, and having big teams like that who don't really understand. Like I said, I come from the full service ad agency model, where everything was under one roof. So the account manager didn't have really expertise in PR. And that was the client's first point of contact a lot of times. So it was just unnecessary, wasted time where something could be addressed a lot more quickly and easily. And that's really where our value proposition to clients, you get senior people working on your account that really it's direct to expert. So if you want to have a conversation with the person who's actually doing the pitching and you want to know what the feedback's been, you can just call me up and ask. It's not this rigmarole of going through 5 different people and getting the runaround of, oh my gosh, what are we going to tell the client? I just think integrity and being transparent with both clients and media is key.
Working with someone like yourself who has been at a large agency,
Mhm.
and I worked at agencies myself, you get to touch a lot of different things at an agency,
Yeah.
or at least sometimes you do. If
Hmm.
you're lucky, if you work at the right ones, you do. But agencies can also be siloed, understandably, into different subject matters, right?
Yep.
Whatever that agency touches. And you've touched a lot of different subject matter areas. We ran them down in your bio. How does that, having that experience of so many different verticals, how does that
Mhm.
now help you counsel your clients when you're running your own agency?
Yeah, I really do have a varied experience, which has really served me well. I didn't really like it wasn't my intent, but from just the nature of working for different agencies, I worked initially for a very real estate heavy firm when the real estate market was booming way back in like 2008 to 2010. And so I have a really, really deep understanding of real estate. I actually got my real estate license at one point. I don't practice it. I use it for my own deals, but it really does help me. We represent a lot of real estate clients currently, developers, brokerages, mortgage companies, architects, big construction companies. And having that knowledge does really help me run their accounts. But I worked for a very large, the largest and oldest agency here in Phoenix for a number of years. And there I worked on big corporate accounts like National Bank of Arizona, Arizona Lottery, Morton's Steakhouse, Tropicana Las Vegas, like a very mix, like Blue Cross Blue Shield. So a mix of corporate, very big corporate clients. And some lifestyle stuff. And then the last agency before I started my own firm was very lifestyle heavy. So we did a lot in the hotel space, restaurants, entertainment. And so when I started my own firm, I really set out to focus on a few key areas. One is hospitality, restaurants, and hotels. We do a lot in that space. And then real estate. We're also very heavy in real estate, as I mentioned. And then we have some other fun ones in there. We represent medieval times, which is really fun and experiential. We do a lot in like the retail space. We have some fun retailers. We do some stuff in healthcare. We represent a plastic surgeon and a med spa that's pretty big out here. And so it's fun. It's a complete variety of things. And I joke sometimes my days are so unexpected. I'll literally be filming something behind the scenes at medieval times with the falcon flying around and people sword fighting. And the next day I could be in a very serious surgery center, talking about state of the art surgery capabilities. So it's really just fun because you never know what your day is going to consist of.
And that, my friends, is the best explanation of what a PR person's day is like.
Right. Exactly.
It's so true. And it's probably why we do it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so great. Jennifer, thank you so much for spending time with us today. We really appreciate you showing up here on the show. We're not done with you yet, though. We are going to segue now into the rapid fire question portion of our podcast. This is where we steal a page from inside the actor's studio. We ask our guests a series of rapid fire questions meant to elicit a simple answer, maybe a laugh or two. With your indulgence, Jennifer Adler, let's begin with rapid fire question number 1. What is your favorite news source?
Oh gosh. I watch a lot of CNN. I like to be up on the news. But locally here, I would say probably AZ Central or one of the business publications here.
All news is local, right? Rapid
Yep.
fire question number 2. What's your favorite social media platform?
Instagram by far.
Pictures, video, stories, what are you posting?
All of the above, but mainly stories and like carousels, sometimes reels. But yeah, Instagram is really my go-to. And then I would say probably LinkedIn as a second.
Love it. Love it. Rapid fire question number 3. Coffee or alcohol?
Ooh, that's a toss-up. Coffee in the morning, alcohol in the evening. You got to fuel your day, right?
That seems to be a very popular trend here on the show.
Yeah.
Rapid fire question number 4, and let's get some local Arizona flavor here. What's your favorite on-the-run food?
Ooh, on the run food, like while I'm driving or something?
Yeah, you're in between appointments, or maybe you just got to pop something in your mouth on the way out the door.
Oh gosh. I don't know. I'm usually like really on the run from one meeting to the next. So I'll just grab like a Greek yogurt from the fridge, or like I'm big on Starbucks drive-through for some egg bites.
Love them, love them. Rapid fire question number 5. What do you want to be after you finish this career?
I don't know. I haven't thought about it. I don't really have plans beyond. I really love what I do, to be honest. I have no plans. Like I don't have a goal of like selling when I hit a certain age or a certain number of years in business. That may come maybe, but I love to travel. I just got back from about 10 days in Greece. And so once I'm retired, I would say I would just want to do more of that. See as much of the world as possible.
Love it. Sounds like a great plan. Jennifer Adler, this has been a great conversation. Please let people know how they can find you online.
Yeah, we're just Adler Public Relations, all spelled out.com for our website. Same on Instagram, Adler Public Relations. We also are that on LinkedIn. And then personally, I'm Jen Adler 27 on Instagram.
Terrific. We'll put all the links in the show notes. Thanks, Jennifer, for joining us today. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Please remember to subscribe to the show, connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at The PR Podcast, and send us a question or comment. Our intro is by Christopher Apple. You can find him and his fantastic photography on Instagram at Christopher_APPOLDT. Check him out there and hire him for all your photography needs. You can find me online at Jody Fisher on all the socials and on the web at jodyfisherpr.com. We'll see you next time on the PR Podcast.